The betrayal protocol. The vote was unanimous except for one. In the crystalline chambers of the Galactic Council, 417 species cast their decision in perfect synchronization. Only the Cathari ambassador abstained, her feathered form trembling as she witnessed history's greatest betrayal unfold. The decision was final. Humanity would be removed from the galactic community, their technology seized, their colonies disbanded, their future erased. They called it the containment protocol, but everyone in that chamber knew what it really was. It was fear dressed in bureaucracy. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the diplomatic vessel UNS Harmony, watching the stars streak past as they approached the Council's capital station. She had no idea that 300 light-years away her species had just been condemned. The Peace Summit was supposed to be humanity's crowning achievement. 20 years of careful diplomacy, of proving that the young race from Earth could contribute to galactic civilization. 20 years of sharing medical breakthroughs, agricultural innovations, and cultural exchanges, all of it leading to this moment when humanity would finally gain full membership in the Council. Her second-in-command, Captain Marcus Rodriguez, joined her at the viewport. His weathered face showed the optimism they all felt. After today, humans would have voting rights, trade privileges, and access to the Quantum Gate network. Everything would change. The Harmony carried 47 of Earth's finest diplomats, scientists, and cultural ambassadors. They had practiced their presentations for months, memorizing every gesture that might offend the various species, learning greetings in 300 languages, preparing gifts that demonstrated humanity's desire for peaceful coexistence. The Kepler station appeared ahead, a massive structure that defied human engineering comprehension. It was built by the architects, the mysterious first race that had vanished millennia ago, leaving only their indestructible stations as monuments to their existence. The Council had claimed it as neutral ground for all diplomatic meetings. As the Harmony docked, Sarah noticed something odd. The usually bustling docking bays were empty except for Council military vessels. The welcoming committee that should have greeted them was absent. Instead, armed guards from multiple species formed corridors leading into the station. Ambassador James Thompson, Earth's chief negotiator, frowned at the scene but maintained his diplomatic composure. Perhaps this was simply a ceremonial display, he suggested to his team. Different cultures had different ways of showing respect. They proceeded into the station, their footsteps echoing in halls that should have been filled with delegates from across the galaxy. The Council chamber doors sealed behind them with a finality that made Sarah's military instincts scream. She reached for a weapon she wasn't carrying, as per diplomatic protocol. High Chancellor Voss of the Dreknari spoke first, his reptilian features showing what humans would recognize as satisfaction. The Council has convened and reached a decision regarding humanity's application. His words carried through the chamber in perfect translation. Sarah noticed the weapons platforms activating around the room, their energy signatures making her skin crawl. We regret to inform you that your species has been designated a Level 7 threat to galactic stability. Thompson stepped forward, confusion clear on his face. There must be some mistake. We came here in peace. We've done nothing but contribute. The Chancellor's scales shifted, a sign of amusement among his kind. That is precisely the problem. In 20 solar cycles, humanity has advanced more than most species do in 200. Your adaptability, your innovation, your relentless drive, these traits make you dangerous. The holographic displays around the chamber lit up with images of human colonies, ships, and cities. Effective immediately, all human vessels will be impounded. Your colonies will be relocated to Earth. Your technology will be surrendered to the Council for study. And your planet will be placed under indefinite quarantine. Sarah's mind raced through tactical scenarios, but they were outnumbered, outgunned, and trapped. The ambush was perfect. Thompson's voice remained steady despite the betrayal. You're making a mistake. Humanity has shown nothing but good faith. We've shared our discoveries freely. The Cathari ambassador suddenly stood, her melodious voice cutting through the tension. I abstained from this vote. Let the record show that the Cathari people do not support this action. Her words earned her glares from the other council members, but she continued. Humanity has earned their place through merit, not might. Voss dismissed her words with a gesture. Your objection is noted and irrelevant. The decision is made. Guards moved closer to the human delegation. Sarah activated her emergency beacon, a tiny device hidden in her dental work. sending a compressed burst of data back to Earth through quantum entanglement. The message was simple but would change everything. They knew. Earth knew. The humans were escorted to holding cells, their ship impounded, their dreams of peaceful coexistence shattered like stellar glass. Back on Earth, the emergency session of the United Earth Defense Council convened within minutes of receiving Sarah's signal. General Patricia Williams, head of Earth's classified defense program, stood before the assembled leaders. The image she presented was stark. Every human vessel, colony, and outpost was being surrounded by Council forces. It was a coordinated betrayal on a galactic scale. President Maria Santos spoke first, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's future. How long before they reach Earth? Williams pulled up tactical displays showing fleet movements. 6 months if they maintain current velocity. But that's not our biggest problem. She gestured to another screen showing Earth's actual defense capabilities. For the past 50 years, while we showed them our farms and hospitals, we've been building something else. Project Silent Guardian. The room fell silent as she revealed humanity's secret. Beneath the surface of Earth's moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt, humanity had constructed the largest fleet in known history. Not ships of war as the galaxy understood them, but something uniquely human. Ships that could adapt, learn, and evolve. Ships powered by artificial intelligence that made Council technology look like stone tools. The President stood, her decision already made. Recall all humans immediately. Anyone who can't make it back, tell them to go dark. Complete communication blackout with all Council species. And General, prepare the Guardian fleet. We're going to show them what happens when you corner humanity. The recall order spread through quantum channels, reaching every human in space within hours. Mining vessels abandoned their posts. Research stations went dark. Trade ships changed course without explanation. The mass exodus confused the Council, who expected resistance, not retreat. Within 3 months, every human not captured in the initial betrayal was back on Earth or hidden in secret bases. The Council's forces arrived at an empty colony after empty colony, finding only abandoned buildings and a single message in each. You should have chosen peace. Earth itself fell silent. No communications, no energy signatures visible from space, nothing. The Council's quarantine fleet settled into orbit, confident they had contained the human threat. High Chancellor Voss declared the operation a complete success. Humanity had been neutralized without firing a single shot. But in the depths of space, in places the Council didn't know to look, humanity's true nature awakened. The Guardian fleet powered up their drives, their hulls shifting with smart metal that could repair and reconfigure in real time. Their AI cores synchronized, sharing data and strategies at the speed of thought. In hidden shipyards, new vessels were born every day, each one learning from the designs of the last. Humanity had spent decades pretending to be farmers and healers, hiding their true gift. They were engineers of survival, masters of adaptation, and when threatened, The reckoning stormed. 3 years passed in absolute silence. The Council's quarantine fleet orbited Earth like vultures around a corpse, their sensors detecting nothing but normal planetary activity. No ships launched, no communications emerged, no signs of technological advancement. The Council grew complacent, convinced their containment had worked perfectly. They even began dividing up humanity's abandoned colonies among themselves, stripping the infrastructure for resources and technology. High Chancellor Voss received regular reports confirming Earth's continued isolation, each one reinforcing his belief that humanity had been successfully neutered. The first sign something was wrong came from a remote monitoring station near the Vega system. The station simply vanished. No distress signal, no debris field, just gone. The Council dismissed it as a technical malfunction. Then a mining operation in the Centauri sector reported strange sensor ghosts, ships that appeared and disappeared faster than their equipment could track. Within a week, 17 Council vessels had reported similar sightings. Ghost ships that moved impossibly fast, that seemed to bend space around them, that watched but never engaged. Commander Thrix of the Melody Fleet was the first to encounter them directly. His patrol group of 12 vessels was mapping an asteroid field when space itself seemed to ripple. From nowhere, hundreds of ships materialized around them, not emerging from hyperspace or dropping cloak, but literally assembling themselves from what looked like stellar dust. The ships were unlike anything in the Council's databases. They flowed like liquid metal, their surfaces constantly shifting, adapting to whatever energy was directed at them. Thrix ordered his fleet to hold position, his training telling him not to provoke an unknown force. A single transmission reached his ship, broadcast in perfect melody dialect. "Commander Thrix, your presence here is acknowledged. You have 60 seconds to withdraw." The voice was human, but somehow more. It carried harmonics that suggested multiple speakers, or perhaps one speaker with the processing power of thousands. Thrix's pride demanded he respond with force, but his survival instincts recognized a predator. He ordered the retreat. As his fleet jumped to hyperspace, his sensors counted over 3,000 of the shifting vessels, and more were still appearing. The Council convened an emergency session for the first time in a century. Reports flooded in from every sector. The ghost ships were everywhere, watching, waiting, but never attacking. They seemed to know every Council patrol route, every secret base, every classified installation. High Chancellor Voss stood before the assembly, his scales pale with stress. These must be ships from some unknown species. Perhaps the humans awakened something. The Cathari ambassador, who had remained silent for 3 years, finally spoke. "No, Chancellor. These are human ships. You just never bothered to learn what humans really are." She produced a datapad containing her people's private observations of humanity. "While you saw farmers and doctors, we noticed something else. Humans don't just use tools. They become them. Their neuroplasticity allows them to merge consciousness with artificial systems. Every human ship out there isn't just crewed by humans. It is human in ways your species cannot comprehend." The chamber erupted in debate, but their arguments were cut short by an override of their communication systems. Every screen in the Council chambers displayed the same image. Admiral Sarah Chen, older now but with eyes that burned with controlled fury. "Members of the Galactic Council, 3 years ago, you betrayed the trust of a species that came to you in peace. You imprisoned our diplomats, stole our colonies, and blockaded our world. You thought you were containing a threat. Instead, you created one." The image shifted to show the Guardian fleet in its full glory. Millions of vessels, each one a fusion of human consciousness and artificial intelligence, each one capable of adapting to any threat, learning from any attack, evolving past any defense. "We call this the Guardian fleet, but that name is a kindness. These ships were built to protect humanity, yes, but also to ensure that no species ever threatens our existence again." Chancellor Voss tried to speak, but the communication was one way. Shen continued, her words measured and final. "Your quarantine fleet around Earth has 30 minutes to withdraw. Any Council vessel that remains will be considered hostile. Your colonies built on our former territories have 72 hours to evacuate. The technology you stole from us will be reclaimed, and the 47 diplomats you've held prisoner will be released immediately." The transmission ended, leaving the Council in stunned silence. Several members immediately called for military action, but their bravado died when tactical reports arrived. The Guardian fleet had surrounded every major Council world simultaneously. Not threatened to surround, not moved toward, but had already taken position. The ships had been there for weeks, invisible, waiting. The quarantine fleet around Earth reported that the planet's surface had begun to change. What they had thought was normal activity was actually the largest industrial mobilization in galactic history. The entire planet had been converted into a shipyard. Mountains opened to reveal launch bays. Oceans parted to release vessels that had been growing in the depths. And the moon cracked open like an egg, birthing a ship larger than most Council stations. General Patricia Williams, now Fleet Admiral of the Guardian Armada, personally led the extraction of the imprisoned diplomats. Her ship, the UNS Redemption, was a masterpiece of human engineering. It didn't just break through the Kepler station's defenses. It absorbed them, learning from every weapon fired against it, adapting its shields to become immune to each attack. The Council guards surrendered without firing a shot, watching in horror as the station's own security systems turned against them, reprogrammed by the Redemption's AI in nanoseconds. Ambassador Thompson and his team were freed, but they were different now. 3 years of imprisonment had hardened them, shown them that the galaxy's peace was an illusion. Sarah Chen embraced her old friend but saw the change in his eyes. Thompson spoke quietly to her. "They never intended to let us join them. We were always meant to be subjects or threats, never equals." Sarah nodded, understanding the weight of lost innocence. "That's why we're not asking for membership anymore. We're taking our place, whether they approve or not." The Council made one last attempt at negotiation, sending their most skilled diplomats to meet with Earth's representatives. The meeting took place on the rebuilt Harmony. now a ship that could defend itself against an entire fleet. President Santos, promoted to Speaker for United Earth, laid out humanity's terms. The Council would acknowledge Earth's sovereignty over a sphere of space equal to any major power. Human ships would have free passage through all systems. The technology stolen from humanity would be returned with interest, and reparations would be paid for the 3 years of false imprisonment. Most importantly, humanity would maintain the Guardian fleet as insurance against future betrayal. Chancellor Voss, his pride shattered but his species' survival at stake, asked the question that haunted every council member. What if we refuse? Fleet Admiral Williams answered with a demonstration. A single Guardian ship approached a dead moon at the edge of the system. The vessel touched the surface and began to merge with it. Within minutes, the entire moon had been converted into a massive ship, its surface bristling with weapons that defied conventional physics. If you refuse, she said calmly, we will leave council space, but we will take every human innovation, every medical breakthrough, every agricultural advancement with us. And when your civilizations face the next crisis, the next plague, the next famine, remember that you had the chance to have us as allies. The council voted again, but this time the result was different. 417 species voted to accept humanity's terms. Only one abstained, the Dreknari, but their vote no longer mattered. The galaxy had learned a lesson written in the light of 1,000,000 Guardian ships. Humanity had come in peace, offered friendship, and been betrayed. But when pushed to the edge, when forced to reveal their true nature, they had shown the galaxy something terrifying and beautiful. They were not conquerors or destroyers. They were survivors who had learned to turn any threat into a tool, any attack into evolution, any betrayal into strength. As the Guardian fleet dispersed back into the void, maintaining their silent watch, the galaxy's children heard new stories, stories of the species that had been betrayed but chose justice over vengeance, who had been contained but became uncontainable, who had been underestimated but proved unstoppable. Earth reopened communications with the galaxy, but things were different now. Humans still traded, still shared knowledge, still helped where they could. But always in the background, the Guardian fleet waited and watched. A reminder that humanity's greatest strength was not their weapons or their ships, but their ability to adapt, evolve, and survive anything the universe threw at them. The Cathari ambassador, visiting Earth for the first signing of the new accords, asked President Santos a question that had haunted her for 3 years. How did you build all of this so quickly? How did you hide it from us? Santos smiled, a very human expression that the Cathari had learned to appreciate. We didn't build it quickly. We've been preparing since the day we discovered we weren't alone in the universe. Every human knows their history, knows how many times we've been betrayed by our own kind. We hoped for the best with the Council, but we prepared for the worst. That's what humans do. We hope, but we also prepare.